There is not an exact science when it comes to word mapping. I've seen it done different ways. I do like to start off with the main word bubbles that are best associated or commonly used when describing the company. And those are my first words. But from those words, I can dig deeper and come up with additional words associated with those first few main words. You can continue to branch off as much as you'd like, or even come back and write down another main word bubble as you think about it. So down the rabbit hole we go. The brainstorming process is a series of jumps you make from one idea or thought to another. You cannot get to the final concept without working through several steps first. It's like jumping across stones of a pond. You can't skip ahead to the final stepping stone. You must slowly work your way through many stones before that final idea becomes clear. Think of word maps as pathways to concept ideas. For instance, we write life coaching here as the main word found frequently in the client brief for this life coaching company. What do we think of when we think of life coaching? Words begin to appear, and from that, additional words can branch off from those ideas, and so forth and so forth. So let's write our sushi club right there in the middle. What is the word that is not only in the name as a tagline, but something that came up really frequently in our client brief? Well, that was the word authentic. That's going to be a very easy word to start off with because it was so obvious. So when we think of the word authentic, now what other relative words or words that are also associated with authenticity come up? Well, I think a lot of traditions and history. So I think of a history. There's a reason why it's authentic is you have to have a history first for something to be traditional and authentic. And of course, traditions with the sushi place, there's certain traditions that they do where they keep the fish as the focal point and they're trying not to Americanize the sushi. So there's a lot of tradition there, and the type of knives and the way they prep the food is very traditional. So those are just some quick words that are coming up. So when I think of authenticity, I think of timeless. So it's something that we're drawing from our history. So I'm just going to write down the word timeless. And so branching off from history, so now I can go to those secondary bubbles and start to brainstorm branches off of those secondary bubbles. So when I think of history, the word rooted comes to mind. So we're rooted in history. So all of these are starting to be connected, and we're starting to kind of see some themes. So another word I'm thinking of outside of traditions is a ritual. So we're thinking of the ritual of sushi preparation. And that goes back to traditions, and that goes back to the word. All this stemmed from the word authentic. So the other word that kept coming up was the word fresh. So I'm going to jot that down as another second main offshoot of Sushi Club. So that'll be this own bubble. And so what I think of when I think of fresh, in our case, I think of raw. So fresh equals raw. It's not cooked. There's something very nice about that. Also, it's healthy. And going back to our user persona and how they are kind of more of the healthier crowd, this fresh, raw sushi can be very healthy. Lastly, a word that comes up is safe. That was also brought up as a problem-solving opportunity for our user persona or customer profile is safe. They want to make sure it's fresh but also it's safe to eat because we are talking about raw fish, and it's important that, we feel safe eating it. So that brings us to another word I jotted down after reading the client brief, and that was experience. So I'm going to type in experience. What is part of the sushi experience? Well, the first thing you do is you open up a packet of chopsticks. Either you have your own chopsticks that are nice, or you open the package that the delivery comes with, and you snap open those chopsticks. So that's kind of part of the first part of the experience. I think about slow food. Sushi is not something you rush. It's something, you take your chopsticks and you just eat it one bite at a time. And that also popped up another word in my head is savor. So we're savoring our food. We're taking our time. It's slow food. And remember the list of tangibles and intangibles we just talked about? I just wanted to jot down some tangibles. So some wasabi is part of the experience. That's definitely different. You don't really see that in any other type of food that you eat, and also soy. Soy plays a big part of sushi where you have the soy and the salt from the soy. So just kind of writing down some simple items that are also relating to it. So another main word bubble or idea is preparation. So there's a preparation that kind of came from me thinking about experience. There is a preparation process of preparing sushi. So I'm thinking, okay, they have the sushi knife, which they're going to use really expensive, high quality sushi knives to do all the preparation. They have really good, high quality ingredients. There's rolling and cutting of the sushi. That's kind of part of the preparation process. So I'm really thinking, I'm already starting to kind of conceptualize some ideas, and I'm already kind of thinking of a sushi knife somehow involved in a possible sketch or a logo symbol or idea. You can also go back and add bubbles as you think about it. So I'm going to go back to authentic. I'm going to just write down Japan because I'm thinking we might want to study or bring something with Japanese culture or history into the logo. That's also a possibility. And I lastly thought of flavor, which I think would probably fall into the experience bubble. So I wrote that down, and I feel like after about 10 minutes or so, I have some really good words, associating words, that can really help to form some sketches and concepts. How do we turn these words into real concepts? So we have all these words that relate to the company name, the brand ethos, the client brief, but how do we translate these just words and shapes and symbols into ideas for our logo and our brand design? So sometimes connecting several words together helps you to form a concept. For instance, if I came up with the word exclusive or high-end or rare, it might start to shape how I present the brand. I could have it be clean and simple and exclusive with simple symbols and elegant typography. This can also help us in picking out our color palettes later on down the road too. So I'm just going to go through each main word bubble and see if I can't find a symbol or a typography treatment that we can start to sketch out. And I'm just going to write these ideas down. So for the easiest one, I think, is the experience. I see chopsticks. And that's the first part of the sushi going experience. It's the first thing you do. So I think people associate chopsticks, sushi, so we can explore that as a possible idea. So I'm just going to write down chopsticks. I'm going to start researching how chopsticks look and how I can best sketch and draw those. So another thing is, let's go up to preparation. So the sushi knife, they even mentioned that in the client brief, was kind of important to them. So what if I went and I studied sushi knives? I have no clue what they look like or how they differ from other knives. So I'm going to go on Google and just kind of see what those knives look like. I think they even supplied us with an article, and kind of study that and take grab a few photos that I can use as references when I go to sketch sushi knives. I can figure out how to work the sushi knife and the name together to see if I can intertwine those somehow and make it really cool. So when I go down to fresh, I see raw, healthy, and safe. So none of those words are really drawing up any concepts to show visually. Those are kind of more abstract. But I'm going to keep those in mind when doing it. Healthy might be interesting to do something with health, with leaves. I don't know. I'm going to kind of keep that in the back of my mind. And then safe. So perhaps having a logo that shows confidence. So maybe some bold typography, really chunky typography that makes you feel confident and safe. So authentic, we can look at the Japanese history or culture. What about using a circle as, that's the Japanese flag? I don't know if we can explore that or not. Maybe we can look at Japanese characters that mean the word sushi or have something with like maybe the word authentic in Japanese characters. That's something we can explore. That's really neat. So I think that's something I'm going to write down and figure out. Okay, so I have some rough ideas. We have a knife. I also want to play around with the word sushi club. I also want to play around with the first, almost like a monogram, and take the first letter of sushi club, so S and C. I want to play around with that. Play around with a knife, play around with the Japanese history and culture, and play around with chopsticks. So I have a couple of sourced images I can use as reference points. So when I go to sketch, I kind of know what chopsticks look like already. I kind of know what the sushi knife looks like, so I can just get to sketching. So yay, we're finally here. All the hard work is over, and now it's going to get really fun. So I'll see you in the next lesson as we start to really sketch all this out. And we're going to first start doing some practice sketching exercises to get your creative juices flowing.